Hello everybody and welcome. If you're new here, I'm Angelise Foreman, registered dietitian, and your guilt-free eating guide. Now, today we're going to be talking about the 5 mistakes that Jillian Michaels made in her interview where she's talking about intuitive eating. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to start having an idea of what intuitive eating is and if it's actually beneficial for weight loss. Now, before we hop into the video, go ahead and give this video a like and a subscribe and ring that bell so you are the first to know when I put out a new video. All right, let's hop in. She starts off by talking about weight loss is a science, that scales are needed, and that she needs scales as a compass to be able to allow her to basically ask more questions and to be able to kind of tinker what her clients are doing or how how their habits are going overall. Now, first knock here, this is not included in the intuitive eating space. That's the healthy at every size movement, which really talks about rejecting weight and being following more of an intuitive eating approach. But overall, the reason that this is even a part of we'll just call it HAES is for short. It's a part of this approach because really in traditional medicine that there's so much negativity and so much shame placed on people who honestly are doing their best and they may fall in that overweight category, but it's so hard for them to feel cared for and loved. They're just forced to lose weight, and there's always that wagging finger. But the HAES approach really allows them to follow a more internally directed path that really is focused on hunger and satiety and really engaging with yourself and the more intuitiveness of eating, and really enjoying physical exercise as well, rather than trying to push yourself into workout every day and do all these things. So really, first knock on her, she doesn't fully understand the intuitive eating movement, but at least the thing about it is, I have to say, I agree a little bit with her about the weight part, that using the scale can be a beneficial measure of how you're doing with your habits, but at the same time, it's not always consistent. And so many women struggle with this. And that's the whole point of why the HAES movement has kicked out the scale. That it could be so challenging to step on the scale and see that it's the same as yesterday or even a pound heavier, and you're just like, forget it. I'm just gonna give up and I'm gonna go do the next thing. I'm gonna eat whatever. But really, the reason why this happens is because there's so much going on in our bodies, and especially as women, we have different cycles, different days, there's so many different things that could be happening. And so reality, we just need to, for those who struggle with this and until they get to that place where they have matured and they're okay with the scale, kick the scale out. I totally understand what's going on, and focus on your actions and what you're doing and your habits, because those make the difference. She agrees that fad diets are bad, but really she focuses so much on just promoting weight loss because of obesity related diseases, and she just really pounds that home. And although there are quite a few people who do have health issues that could be alleviated by losing some weight, like if you have heart problems or if you have breathing challenges, those are some cases, but that's not everybody. Not everybody has those issues. So you can't force home that everybody has to lose weight and extra weight is bad. And she really fought a losing battle here, because the thing about it is, it's really based on that old mentality of the BMI scale, that the BMI is the end all be all, and that just because your BMI hits a certain number, you're guaranteed to have diabetes and heart disease and all these other things. That's the old way of thinking. But really, science is saying that it's not even that anymore. It's not even the BMI. That's really you living your life, and the way that you live your life, the foods that you eat, the movement that you do or don't get, those are more of the deciding factors, as well as, heredity. Let's be honest, our blood, it's in our blood, whatever it is. But study after study honestly shows that the intuitive eating and the HAES approach really are both scientifically sound and helpful in losing weight. And they're doing all of this while taming people's hunger and helping them to really improve the quality of what they're actually eating. So ultimately, this is not a get skinny fast plan like she thinks it is, but it's creating a healthy lifestyle so that you can continue each and every day without burning out all while loving yourself. That this is a huge factor. And I think she's comparing apples to oranges here, that they're really two different approaches. Yes, you're going to reach the same goal, and hopefully as we are caring for our body more, if we have extra weight to lose, we will lose it. But the thing is, forcing people down a path is not going to help. Trust me. My doctors tried it since I was a kid. They talked about me saying, you need to lose weight. Your BMI is too high. And it's like, I'm not that big. Like, I understand that, yes, I may carry a few extra pounds compared to the BMI scale, but in reality, it's skewed. I have a lot of muscle. I've run from childhood, really, that it's just, there's so much that isn't counted in that, and medicine really hasn't caught up to this science and really been pushing people in the right direction, saying, okay, make peace with food, make peace with yourself, love your body the way that you're at, and not focus on just losing weight or the numbers on the scale, because those don't define you ultimately. That's exactly what she was saying, that she understands the all or nothing, the either you're eating everything and binging or you're not eating anything, and that diet mentality, but ultimately that she believes that it's 80-20, 80% of the good things, 20% of the bad things with enjoyment, but all within a calorie goal, so that you don't feel deprived. So that way you don't have to have cheat days or anything like that, but finding a middle with self-control and self-restraint. Now, I will say that is one approach. That's totally fine. But again, intuitive eating is another approach. It's a way to help those people who have been force-fed that they have to lose weight and they don't match up to a certain number, or that basically they're just not enough. Ultimately, that is the message that is being conveyed, regardless of whether that's what the professionals intend or not. But there's a lot of negative feelings around weight loss. And really being able to give yourself that unconditional permission to eat is really just the beginning of things. It's so far this dichotomy of I can never eat these things and I can only eat these things. And it creates such tension and such stress that when you see a cookie or you eat Doritos or see Doritos, you want to eat them, but then you're like, no, I shouldn't. And there's this mental tug of war. But really allowing yourself to have peace with food allows you to be able to relax, to be at ease, and to say, okay, I can eat those. I can eat, a small bowl full of Doritos and I can walk away. And I'm not bad. I didn't mess up just because I did that. That's the difference between the two approaches. And this really leads to a lower likelihood that you will binge, and you'll be able to enjoy the foods that you love, as well as enjoying those foods that are super nourishing. And really that's what it's all about, right? So I want to check in with you. So have you given yourself unconditional permission to eat? Have you ever tried it or even thought about it? I want to know. Let me know in the comments, yes or no, or tell me your life. Really, she refers to this point as being idealistic, and physical and emotional issues play a huge role here. That the physical, meaning because you've been overeating for so long, you're more leptin resistant, and basically your body doesn't recognize that feeling of fullness. And, there's the emotional aspect, which there's a lot, and she didn't really go into detail, but basically she pointed to food being more addictive than before, and that fullness doesn't really play a role with how much you're eating, how much you're not eating. If you focus on whole foods, then you won't have that issue. I don't believe that paying attention to your fullness is idealistic, but I think it's very practical, and it can be effective for those people who overeat for emotional reasons and have tuned out their bodies because of really all of those other things going on. This is a way to get back to being in tune with our bodies. It's starting to listen to our bodies again, paying attention to how full we are, if we're satisfied. And this is just the beginning of a path to really gaining a healthy relationship with food, not the end. So that's really what I would say about this point, that she got it wrong because she's focused on there's no way you can do it with unconditional permission to eat. Because the thing about it is we need training. Of course, it's just like a little kid. When you buy them a bike for the first time, you don't just throw them out in the, down the street and say, you can ride the bike, go ahead. No, you have to walk with them. You have to teach them There's training wheels, there's a process to it, but eventually they're cruising down the street without you and you have to tell them, wait, slow down before I get there, you know? And it's the same thing here, that we've tuned out all of those different things in our body and we've got to tap back into it. So it's a process that, again, this is not a get skinny quick plan. This is a healthy lifestyle that you can keep for the rest of your life, and it can get you the results that you want, but you have to stick with it. And people enjoy it so much more than being brute force pushed to not eat this and not eat that. That really, those food rules tend to backfire and cause a lot more harm than good. 5, emotional eating. I said we would come back to it. So she talks about, everybody knows about emotional eating, that you shouldn't eat emotionally and all these things, but it's not stopping them. And it can take a while to deal with these things through therapy, and that the root of the problem isn't that it is the root of the problem for most people. She even said herself that 65% of the people on The Biggest Loser gain their weight back. That means only 35% keep it off. And ultimately, everybody in the world who goes on a diet, only 95% of them after 2 to 5 years can lose the weight, and really they gain it back most of the time. So 5% lose it and keep it off. No wonder diet culture is a problem, and no wonder people can't take it off. And she starts saying that the pros on the show know how to take off the weight, but really it's the emotional eating that after the show brings back on the weight. And I have to say she's probably right, but in reality, you didn't create a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, they lost the weight, but there wasn't a lifestyle of health that was created or during this show. That it was more of a brute force method, and it wasn't really good. It ultimately didn't last. And really, this shows that there's a problem with diet culture, which she kind of said, not really, but kind of. Like, she said fad diets are bad, but really diet culture is not that bad. But in reality, it is. This is where diet culture comes into play the most, that it tugs at your emotions, it makes you feel guilty, and there's this cycle of binge eating and then restricting, and it's just all of this shame and all of this confusion and frustration. And yes, people, we could all benefit from therapy. We all have something that we need to talk about, whether it's therapy from a friend or it's therapy from an actual therapist. But either way, we need to talk about our lives, talk about things. But if you're following intuitive eating, I absolutely believe, as a teacher and a follower, that there's a sense of peace when you can accept yourself, you can accept the foods that you eat, and not focus on how you messed up and how you did this or that bad. That there's no shame here. It's just continuing on. It's getting better every day. It's a way of moving toward a peaceful relationship with food and with your own body. So ultimately, if one way hasn't worked in brute force and pushing people to just shape up and have motivation and have consistency, why can't this work? Why can't this be another way for people who haven't had that experience that's been good with those ways? Like, why can't it be that way? And ultimately, those that follow intuitive eating aren't lazy. They're not ignoring their what they should be doing or anything like that. That ultimately, just because they think about something differently or approach it differently, doesn't mean they can't get amazing results. That there have been so many people that have been able to lose weight and change the way that they're thinking about food and the way that they live. So ultimately, I'm a huge proponent of intuitive eating, as you can tell. Now, if you liked this video and you really want to dive deeper, I want to encourage you to join my program, the Cultivate Nutrition Academy. We go deep, very deep into all of these principles to really be able to learn to put together a simple step-by-step plan for you to be able to start growing and becoming better with your relationship with food, to overcome emotional eating as well as stress eating, because let's be real, it's stressful, especially with Rona. Overcoming a lack of motivation, overcoming the busy woman time crunch. There's always so much going on in our lives, but really you're going to be able to overcome all of those things to be able to create consistency in your health that is truly going to have a healthy lifestyle and get you the results that you want. No more pills, no more detoxes, no more diets, none of that stuff, all out the window. Now, if you want more information, you can go ahead and check out the link below to be able to apply to my academy. And you can check out Instagram and Facebook. There's a whole community of us there that are all supporting each other, loving up on each other, while talking about how to apply intuitive eating principles to our lives. So I hope Now, I hope you were able to understand what 5 mistakes Jillian Michaels made and why they are mistakes, and why intuitive eating is actually an amazing approach to weight loss as well as having a great lifestyle. Now, if you haven't already, go ahead and give this video a like and a subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I put out my next video. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye.